There's still a war in the Ukraine. And watching everything from Gaza is absolutely devastating. And I, like you, am watching people, mostly children, being ravaged and pillaged and shattered by war. I see freedom and democracy devastated there and all over the world. And there's an election coming, and I am really worried. Are you worried? Yeah. I'm really worried. As I navigate everything from where to send money or what vigils to go to or protests will be and what the key issues are and how to bring cultural sensitivity that I intend but might mess up, even to a pastoral care call or how to write a sermon, my first source for all this is our UU siblings in faith. I don't know if you think of all the people who are UU as your siblings in faith, but I feel a whole lot less alone when I do. There are other people out there, just like how Jeannie was able to move to several congregations and find people with similar values. I know that we vet issues like no one else. I can trust us. It's not that we're special. We just kind of have this angle and way that we think that lets me know someone will figure that part out, right? I don't need to carry it all. When Lisa Gilley, our board president, and I have meetings, I'll go, let there be some space so they can bring it in the room because they're as brilliant as us, right? Right? Y'all are. You'll help us have an impact. Little example, but I think it really matters. When Allison Vernon and I, our music director, we spent weeks writing that peace prayer for the Christmas Eve service. I mean, we debated and what about this? And I don't want to do this wrong, and it really needs to carry, and this is the meaning and the intention. We really want it to be what we want it to be. We didn't do that all alone. We ran it by people, and then I went to experts in our faith who had religious traditions and ties to Palestine and Israel, and I ran it all by them ahead of time because I wanted to make sure it would land with the deep care that we truly meant and we knew you would expect of us to serve you with. I had those resources because of our UU siblings in faith. This week, the UUA staff issued a statement condemning violence against Gaza and urging immediate and total ceasefire. I'm not going to go into all of that. If you need a copy of it, let me know. And I put it on our social media. I'll put it in the newsletter. But I just want to read you a few of the lines as they relate to today's sermon. There are crystallizing moments in the course of history when, in spite the differences that exist among us, our common reverence for life demands that we speak with moral courage and clarity on the side of love. As a people of faith and conviction, Unitarian Universalists share a belief that every human life is sacred, endowed with worth and dignity from the moment of birth, with no person deserving of freedom and flourishing more than any other. Our living tradition, remember that means that our tradition changes, that's why we aren't saying the same words from 1892 or 1645 or 1342. Our living tradition has long maintained that the only hells that exist are those that we create for one another right here on earth. Here at CCUU and in our faith, we are building beloved community. and all the things that go into that word. I believe you. We, us together, all hold a secret that very few understand. And I'm challenging you to build a beloved. That means all the diversity and all the ways and all our dreams. That's what that word is shorthand for. A beloved, just, and equitable place of belonging. Not to make those folks out there have a better life. It's not for others out there. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm daring you to do it because we, right here in this room, we need it. This ain't the anthem, and y'all can clap or make noise because it's me. And I don't have like a lockdown on silence. This is a community of caring and kindness. Last week, right, I showed you in those slides just a few of the examples of how we do that. Right? I let you in on some of the secrets, right? I told you about some of the things that we do, examples. And if you come to the cottage meeting today, after you get your coffee and you get your snack and you come in here, right? We're going to have the cottage meeting right here in this room. And even if you came to the one Friday night, we changed it up. We're doing it again. Come on back. All right? I'll be here. It'll be a lot of fun. All right? We are a well-established community of caring and mutual aid, and we can get even better and we can do even more as we go through hard times in this world together. And we can make it even stronger if we want to. Just in this last week, since I did that mutual aid sermon, right? Some people were like, oh, and I need a children's therapist referral. And all those therapist referrals that I have on my door, they all went away and I had to make more copies, right? And then some people were like, I need lawyers. Do you have that? Oh, I have a this. I need to give away. Does someone need that? Oh, someone needed that. If you have not been vulnerable here to ask for what you need, try it. Perhaps you are longing for it. I wonder if you want it so bad you have no idea how good it would feel to share your burdens. I wonder if you have loved ones that want to be checked on and cared about, or to be able to ask for a hug and get one, or to be invited to game night, or be given the last muffin that Dave cooked in coffee hour. He listens to the service every week in there, cleaning that kitchen within an inch of its life, and making sure that we have like all these warm, happy popovers. I mean, that's mutual aid. That's love being baked in and cleaned up. Don't you want to feel that? Bring a friend the first Sunday in March, because I bet you know people that need it. They might not look like all of us, right? They might come from who knows where, but I bet they need it. I know that when I look at what's happening to democracy all over the world, I look at rights being deleted and education being attacked, and when someone wants to teach truth, I'm sure glad that I'm a Unitarian Universalist with a community to turn to. Amen. So I was reading The Atlantic this week, as I am wont to do, and Derek Thompson wrote about all the ways Americans have stopped hanging out. We like to blame COVID, but his article, if you check it out, proves that it was happening way before COVID. Same thing with kids. We like to blame COVID on the RE program. It was happening before that. In fact, it is creating such a loneliness crisis that is so bad that anxiety and depression and dissatisfaction are rising. Surveys show that Americans, this is from the article, especially young Americans, have never been more anxious about their own lives and more depressed about the future of our country. Teenage depression and hopelessness are setting new annual records every year. The number of young people who can say they have a close friend has plummeted. Americans are so depressed about the state of the nation for so many consecutive years that NBC just released on its pollsters that they said we have never seen this sustained level of pessimism in the 30 years of us creating these polls. More than ever, people long for and need to be loved. That doesn't mean you have to agree with them. They need to be cared about and know something about them means something to someone. Americans are used to being experts at everything, and we could do it all alone. I don't need to listen to anyone. So-and-so's done it 300 times. You might want to talk to her. No, we're good. We used to be experts at starting everything from unions to bowling leagues and scouting troops and churches. Like I said, we blame COVID, but that's not true. It just sped it up. We stopped joining things long before that. We stopped being social and communal and collaborative, and now we start our days with rituals that we are glued to like never before. What is the way that we start the most important moments of our days and the deepest rituals of our lives? Where do we start them?
Connections.
In our phone. In our phone. We start our days and end our nights looking at our phones, and I have news for you. What y'all are looking for is not in your phone. I believe that so strongly, and trust me, it's medicine I need too, that I have gone through periods where I delete lots of apps off my phone and I use the following mantra throughout my day. The answer you are looking for is not in your phone. Repeat it with me. The answer you are looking for is not in your phone, but it might be right here. Among these people with similar values to you, people might want to practice kindness with you. I was talking to two people about someone I was concerned about, and they started trying to really problem solve that person's problems. And I said, I don't know if any of that's the answer, but I really want to go love her up. Let's think of ways we could go love her up. She'll probably tell us how to solve her own problems because she's wise and smart, right? Most of the time, people aren't looking for us to solve their problems. They'd like to know they were heard and seen. And so in a world of unfathomable cruelty and division, I think we can address kindness right here. I think we can create a lot of peace with a casserole or a gift card and a box of granola bars. Do you know stamps are still less than $1? You could send a real piece of paper in an envelope to someone. It'll be fun. Try it out. Use a pen. Do you know our senior high youth group now often ends their meetings writing care notes? They spread kindness. As dark as this world can feel, there is no better time to turn to your UU community than now. There is no more crucial time than now to invest in this congregation. I am asking for your loaves and your fish to feed our people. Unitarian Universalists share a belief that every human life is sacred, endowed with worth and dignity, and that means that sometimes we do everything from change the words in our most precious statements so that more people can feel included with them, or we learn that what we are absolutely convinced is the right thing to do might actually be really hurtful to someone, and we have to listen to them as they tell us this is hurting us. And we have to change course. Pause and think about that for just a second. That means that not everything here will be happy. Not everything here will be easy. But it'll be worth it. We may need to learn new ways to care for people, and that's what makes this an awesome faith. Because the opportunities to side with love are presented to us every day. And to do that, we have to be constant curators of caring community. 2 weeks ago, I reminded you that to do something really important, to create the community in the world you want, you sometimes have to take a chance. I want you to know that that morning, after Luis had asked me to help him, be a part of thanking everyone and doing that whole thing, he called me as I was driving in and was like, I'm not going to come to the front. Hi, Luis. I'm driving into service right now. I need to tell you a little bit about today's service. It says, sometimes you have to take a chance. Pause. Laughing. Okay, I'll come to the front. I'll take a chance. I wish he were here. He's not feeling well today. But Luis, our technology assistant, for those of you who don't know, asked for something he needed. And we as a congregation, with our resources, were able to help a little bit on that path. And his bravery and his risk taught us too. I told you about all the ways that many of you have shared with me and your lay ministry team the needs and hurts you faced, and you took a chance, those of you who found yourselves maybe on that page or have taken what you need, as Jeannie said, have come to let us share your world and help you and support you and love you, and then we get to feel part of that mutuality. A week ago, I reminded you that in a world that is vibrant and equitable and just and a beloved community is one where everyone has needs and everyone has gifts and treasures to share, and no one is more valuable than another. Giving helps us feel more generous. Some of us are capable of giving more of one kind of resource than another, or more at one time than another. And generosity and giving fights loneliness and increases intimacy. Last week I handed out word clouds, and I showed you both issues this community has faced as well as dozens of ways that we have helped. And there were very real issues on those ways that people have faced hard times in this congregation, whether it was death or trauma and suicide and homework stress and job loss and all these things. They're real and they're hard. And we didn't divide the list out by those who are wealthy or those who have means or those who are cuter or more clever or what zip code they lived in. No, because we are all people who need love and a community of caring. And if you want to have a community of caring, you can't have that if you don't trust one another. And you have to take a chance to build that trust. And then you have to share what's going on with you and accept the love back. Today, my partner, Reverend Matt, is in Heartland, Wisconsin, delivering a sermon, and he was interviewing me. You've done all these justice movements, Reverend Denise. What do you think is the number one most important thing that people have to do to be prepared to do big justice work when the world's going to be really hard? He's like, is it spiritual practice? Is it learning more about an issue? I said, I've tried this a bunch of times, a bunch of ways. But over time, I think it all falls apart if people don't care about one another. And we don't trust one another. And so our congregation being a place for you to invest your time, your ideas, and your money to make stewardship a chance that you stretch yourself on into a place that you want to hang out more. Be people who hang out. Hey, let's meet at church, right? Let's do that there. If you want to grow a place that counters loneliness, and we're going to balance the needs of spiritual, intellectual, social, emotional, joyful, and beautiful, and we do that on all these teams and all that stuff that we do, right? If you want to do all that, while the rest of the world might be getting mean and not being kind and not helping one another, or not valuing truth, or understanding that spirituality or religion and ethics and comprehending those are essential parts of being human, well, where are you going to go? Right? What are you going to do? Are you just going to go slide down with it all? Right? We know something else. We have the secret sauce. According to this article in The Atlantic, Americans are spending less time with other people because they're spending more time with their screens, televisions, and phones. And face-to-face rituals and customs are pulling our time less and less. Face-to-face time, screen technologies are pulling on our attention. Face-to-screen time technologies are pulling our attention more. And the inevitable result is a hangout depression. The cottage meetings you're attending will show the requested budget, along with increased building costs and the money it takes to keep the staff at a fair and equitable pay level, plus all the fun stuff that we really hope that we can do to attract new members and have a lot of fun here. When I looked back, I just spent time looking back at a year of articles you click on in the newsletter. Y'all click on the fun stuff the most, right? So if you want to have that, it's a package. I think we used to think of ministry in churches as like, well, I'll just take that one off. And something I'm explaining in the cottage meetings is to pull off ministry in this world where everything is multi-platform and stuff, the staff work way more on a team level than ever before, right? We can't be siloed. And we need a lot more volunteers to do things. And the more we cut from the budget, the more volunteers we need to do stuff. And we are running slim here. We debate if we can afford to send postcards to people. We debate if we can afford to send a sticker, or can we do that in color. We do all these things to make it really, really trim here. And yet we know that to support this house of love, we might not get what we're asking for. It's not really like a we and you and us, it's y'all have asked for it, right? Yet the price is so much higher than just the money or the staff it might impact. Because the congregation is the antidote to this world where uncertainty and cruelty and loneliness are getting too big. Don't we all want a pill? This is it. This is it. Now, some people will say, well, how can we possibly have enough? We'll never have enough. Oh my God, we won't have enough. That's the finance meeting. In the famous story in the Bible, even if you're, not seeing that as the same as everyone else, it's a good story. It's often misunderstood, though. See, Jesus took 7 loaves and the fish after giving thanks, and he broke the bread, and he divided the fish and gave it to his disciples and sent them out in these crowds of thousands of people. Now, where a lot of people get this story wrong is they think that there was like this magical multiplier going on in this mystical, Santa Claus in the sky kind of God happening, right? It wasn't that Jesus thought that a few loaves of bread and fish would feed thousands. He was a well-educated man. He was a rabbi, right? He believed in the people, and he trusted the people to take care of one another. He left the space. He invited them to feed the hungry and keep the miracle going. Just like the stone soup, they started pulling out what was in their basket, right? He knew that they could keep the miracle going and feed the people who were hungry that were there so that they could keep having community, right? The meal wasn't the point. The point was to be able to keep being together and hearing a message that gave them hope. And imagine how it probably was. Now, I want you to picture like Lollapalooza, all right? Just a few thousand years ago. And, the kids are playing over there, and some people are getting sick, and some people need water. Do you think it was Jesus and 12 guys managing that whole event? We all know the helpers came in all genders and had stuff with them. And the love spread through the crowd because of the power of the crowd. So I'm going to thank you now for the bread and fish you have shared with this community and the healing, the serious healing you make possible. Because you have a foundation right here for twice the number of people who are here now. Go invite them. You have an infrastructure for caring community and building kindness and taking care of one another in hard times. So Stewardship asks if we have loaves and fish in our cupboard. Do you have an IRA or an inheritance or some extra change you can share? Can you raise birthday funds on a Facebook fundraiser? Right? Can you make a commitment and amount and count on it? Because together we can heal. Together we can build an equitable, just, and beloved community. I'm asking for your bits of bread to keep this community vibrant and healthy. Feeding the 5,000 is also known as the miracle of the 5 loaves and 2 fish in the Gospel of John. It wasn't magic. It wasn't mystical dust. Love powered the generosity. Love said, where else could I go find a little more? Right? You know what else multiplied that day? The stories, the sorrows shared, the singing together, the laughter, the watching the kids play. I'm sure there were not just food being shared, but tips and news and weather. It was a big love party. Remember the Christmas pageant we had here when we asked you to come up and look in the baby cradle, and what you saw when you looked inside was what love gave birth to, and it was a mirror and it was you? Do you believe in the birth of love? Because I do. So please share generously, not just of your pledges that can stretch you, but of the kindness and acts of caring and a love of vulnerability that will stretch you. So I'm asking for a loaves and fishes miracle that only you can power. This place is your secret sauce. Spread it on your bread and know you are the miracle. You are the miracle every single one of us needs now.